Before we start, here's how I, the FlawFather, rate things. Everything gets judged on these 5 elements, and at the end, I'll pass judgment on the film. Major flaws are flaws that heavily push against the main plot. Minor flaws are flaws that lightly push against the main plot. Overlookable flaws are flaws that can easily be overlooked, yet still observed from the audience. Some easily seen, some easily missed. Quibbles are like minor flaws. They're minor nitpicks that the viewers may notice and that I, the FlawFather, choose to highlight, whether or not it disrupts the main plot. A forgivable element is something in the film that forgives flaws against the main plot, usually opinion-based and when something impressive happens. Enjoy the video. Not a single person here has a gun in the event something goes wrong.
Maybe it's because I'm on this seafood diet. Seafood, I eat it.
It's so bad.
You always laughed at that one.
Yeah, when I was 12.
Do they expect me to believe that Andy hasn't told the same corny jokes since she was 12? They probably have this conversation every day. And if he had continued with this BS since I was 12, I'd have given him a new directive.
Where are your parents? They died 3 cycles ago.
I feel like their system would have had records of her parents, right?
You have to let me go.
You mean to tell me Rain worked 32 extra hours when she didn't have to? That's almost a whole extra week of work. I would have been counting my last 50. Also, how does this lady even benefit from any of this? Having an office right outside the sidewalk doesn't exactly scream power. We really don't need all the details, but it doesn't really seem like she gains anything from doing this, other than to keep up the trend that leaving this planet is hard to do.
He's not your brother though, is he? You'll shut the It's true though, isn't it? He's not your brother, it's just where your damaged goods that your dad found in the trash. And that's all he is, Rain.
Bjorn nearly ruins everything by running his mouth to the one person able to help them.
I don't want to end up like our parents. Do you?
Ah, how conveniently convenient.
That's not a ship.
But wouldn't they have known it wasn't a ship, but rather an outpost due to the hyperlink they were using earlier? Surely that would have been easy to spot, but I get it. Dramatic effect. How come we didn't hear all that junk fall from inside the vent? It didn't seem that far out of earshot. She throws up now? I'm surprised she didn't throw up from going into orbit. But this is just to give them a segue that Kay is pregnant.
No, you're not going to your mother.
Bjorn, stop. Are we on?
Hold on.
Oh, she didn't tell you.
This idiot is sabotaging the mission for no reason other than to be a dick. How's this sign still standing? How is everything here still upright? If the gravity generators were off, shouldn't the whole ship have been affected? Watch how Bjorn takes a step back and Andy pulls him forward. We then see Bjorn standing on the edge of the hole. He would have fallen, given by his movement. This would normally be considered overlookable, but I'm promoting it to a quibble. Wait, why did Tyler just skip over these fuel tanks? Weird idea. What if you put back in what you just pulled out? It's worth a shot. If these scientists were so focused on keeping these creatures contained or dormant, why design it so that removing one cryofuel cylinder makes the whole cooling system useless? I get it's an old ship, but that's just a bad design. On with the plot. It's interesting that Rain can crack this glass open with just a fire extinguisher. You'd think the scientists would have used harder, unbreakable glass to prevent exactly this kind of breach. And with how long she was hitting it, she could have opened it before Andy rebooted. But then we'd miss badass Andy and his higher clearance. So, for the plot. Despite Rook clicking whatever button that lights whatever up or dims whatever down to show the Xenomorph, I still think the crew would have seen it earlier hanging from the ceiling since they have a larger field of view than what we can see on the camera. Like, right here, they would have seen it. But once again, I get it. Dramatic effect.
It wreaked havoc over this station. I sealed the station back up, but it was too late.
So after the Xenomorph died, its trail of acid blood just happened to be right above Rook? Even considering how fast the acid blood eats through everything, it's insanely unlucky that he gets caught like that. But it also raises the question, was Rook really the only android on this entire station?
Acid for blood.
Sulfuric and hydrofluoric. I sealed the station back up, but it was too late.
Wait, you sealed it? I feel like the outpost would have been smart enough to do that automatically.
Wait, shut up! Nobody cares about your ship anymore.
Bjorn has the right idea, but the wrong approach. Time is of the essence to save Navarro, and Rook does talk a good bit explaining as she's getting incubated. Yo man, cool story how everyone died on the ship and all, but my girlfriend is currently getting pumped with alien seed. Mind if we move along?
You must understand.
See? That's what I mean by funny ideas.
I doubt that shock would have thrown Andy back that far, unless he had used his android strength as a reaction, which doesn't seem to be the case here. Also, Andy doesn't seem to have any burn marks or damaged clothing after contact with the shock. Since Rook has control over the entire outpost, he could have easily shut the door on these two, but decides not to, for some reason. I'm no expert, but if you were sitting where the pilot would sit, wouldn't the direction she kicked the thrust control lever make the ship veer right rather than left? I get it, her friend is dying, but this chick sits here rather than stabilizing the ship so they don't crash. All non-incubated people survive this. Oh hey, this station does have auto-sealing doors, just like the rest of the ship in case the leak occurs, right? Right?
If we raise the temperature in the room to match our bodies, would that make us invisible to them?
Just one way to find out.
It's convenient that the temperature controls for this sector are right here.
Listen to me, she's pregnant.
Is this supposed to convince Andy? Gotta try, I guess.
I'm truly sorry. There was nothing I could have done to save her.
Could have opened the
We'd all be dead if I had.
I get it. You just lost your friend/sister, but Badass Andy is completely right. Here, this screen shows that there are 4 guns with no indications that one is missing. And inside, there's 2 guns and 3 slots for the guns. Who designed this, and why am I not surprised? We see here the gun has 7 bars indicating ammo capacity. The gun has 450 rounds, which divided by 7 gets us this large number. However, according to other sources, the gun should only have 6 bars, which gives us an even 75 per bar. Quick question, why were these being stored on the bottom of the space station and not in a room like the others? Okay, so down this hallway there are dozens of bodies that have been used to hatch xenomorphs, but facehuggers need live hosts to incubate, meaning all these people had to be alive within the last few hours. Yet, we are told no one survived and it's been 170 days. This is consistent in the franchise and even shown later in the film, when the xenomorph keeps Rain alive for incubation rather than ending her. This is a major flaw, but doesn't stick out as much as the others. Holy cow! How is she still alive? After suffering this, and still bleeding well over 15 minutes, it's hard to believe that she's still conscious. No, seriously, how is she still alive?
I don't trust this.
Andy, will she make it?
If we hurry.
You know, just want to say every call Rain's made has been right, except this one. But other than that, kudos to Rain. You know, I can't even hate on her for doing this. If I had been through what she's been through, I'd probably load one up as well. Gotta say, the xenomorphs and the props are pretty dope. This clip should be empty now. Okay, every time this gun gets shot, I'm adding a minor flaw. Why would they stress that the gun has hardly any ammo and then give the gun so much ammo? Also, they get through this without a single drop touching them.
The elevator won't work without gravity.
Why not? Because the engineers were old school? How's something so advanced yet so outdated? That's a lot of bullets for an empty gun. Why is the elevator the only way to seal the bottom floor? Surely the space station would have built-in doors to seal when a breach is made so that everyone doesn't die, right? Once again, how can something be so advanced yet so outdated? Andy fires this empty gun once again, and also doesn't get a single drop of acid blood on him. So this is one of the biggest flaws. The acid blood from the now dead xenomorph will eat through the elevator, now making the seal worthless, which happens to be the barrier between life and death for both of them. Or did Andy forget that they're technically on the bottom floor? I get it, save Rain, but judging by this hole, you don't even have a minute. Was the compound going to make it to Jackson's star after he died? He wouldn't have been able to remote pilot after he collides with the planetary rings. And this begs another question. Why didn't he save himself? He had control over the whole station, and I would guess he would have had the ability to move it. Just another note. Wouldn't you think that the ship would have had some kind of safety protocol not to let it be destroyed if it could prevent it? It's interesting that you can take out the cryofuel while someone's in cryosleep, especially because of how it's been shown and used in this film. Congrats, Kay. It's a boy. It's luck of the draw she could do this so quickly considering she's never been to space before, but maybe they did it as farmers, like she said, as her occupation.
Full name and occupation, please.
Farming.
Yeah, okay. No chance Rain's cable was even close to being in between those two levers. The clip is at the front, and she got pushed from the back. How does he not get sucked into space? I'm not doubting the sheer force and strength of a Xenomorph, but it just doesn't seem very plausible. Ah, the glass cracking and about to break, but doesn't cliché. You know, I'm surprised Andy isn't completely frozen, considering that he was in the same room as the cryofuel freezing everything. And by the way it was freezing, it looked like it should have damaged his tech beyond repair. Not that I want to see Rain drag Kay's lifeless corpse and shove it out an airlock, but what'd she do with it? I, the FlawFather, pass judgment on Alien Romulus to be Flawsome. What film would you like I, the FlawFather, to pass judgment on next? Please leave it in the comments below.
You mustn't fire a single one.
I started blasting. Bang! Bang!
I'm gonna match its roll.
Cooper, what are you doing?
Docking.
Big maybe.